Michael Brown was in Ferguson, Missouri.
Mhm.
He was a very large black gentleman who was walking down the middle of a street, and a patrol car came up and yelled at him to get on the sidewalk, get out of the street. And Michael Brown attacked that police officer in his patrol car, fought him for control of the officer's pistol. We know this because the pistol in the struggle discharged inside the patrol car and took a chunk of a little piece of Michael Brown's hand. His DNA was found inside the car. So we know there was a fight for the gun there. Then Michael Brown ran off. The police officer chased him on foot. Police officer said, "Halt, police." Michael Brown turned around. Michael Brown was about 250 pounds. The police officer was about 160.
Mhm.
Michael Brown turned around, looked at the officer, and charged at him, hands extended. And the officer shot him as he was being charged and killed him. The news stories were that this officer executed Michael Brown for no reason. Michael Brown had his hands up, is the narrative. Hands up like he was surrendering. He had his hands up. He was reaching for the officer's throat when the officer shot him. And the officer knew this guy was going to fight him for his gun because he'd already done it. That was a perfectly lawful shooting. But here's an interesting example. So the prosecutor in that jurisdiction said, well, I'm going to present the facts and the law to a grand jury and let the grand jury decide whether this goes to trial. Normally, a grand jury is a completely one-sided affair because the prosecutor is not obliged to share evidence of innocence with the grand jury. They're only obliged to share evidence of guilt. And if we ever only hear one side of a story, it sounds pretty compelling, right? So normally a grand jury only hears from the prosecutor. They only hear the prosecutor's side. So they return an indictment, guaranteed. What this prosecutor did was say, you know what, grand jury, I'm going to show you all the evidence. The evidence consistent with guilt and the evidence consistent with innocence. All of it, which he doesn't have to do. The grand jury looked at all that evidence and they refused to indict that police officer. You know what happened next? That prosecutor, who had been the prosecutor in that jurisdiction for more than 30 years, the next time he was up for re-election, George Soros came to town, financed a competitor against him, and that guy lost his career to a George Soros financed candidate.